Colin Cowherd's bold NFC predictions for 2025 NFL season. John Middlecoff also joining him on the left there. Okay, Uncle Colin is going to release his bold predictions. We're going to react along the way. Here we go.
So here we go. Here are the surprise moves. Number one, this is the least surprising of any I've done in the last 2 days. Brian Schottenheimer is a one and done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of a crazy. That was a really. So Brian Schottenheimer is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, if you don't know, but really insane hire from Jerry. And really the whole process was kind of insane. And I'm not sure what's going on down there. They're all in all the time. I mean, Jerry wants a Super Bowl, soon, but it seems like they are drifting further and further away from that. I mean, even if you go back to last year where they have an exodus of talent and then they decide we are not refilling it. When all of a sudden, like, they could have had Derrick Henry. They could have went after one of these running backs. And they say, you know what? We're good. Let's see what Rico Dowdle has going on. So it's just a weird situation down there in Dallas. The Schottenheimer promotion was insane. And we'll see what they do. But, yeah, I mean, Dallas just seems to be getting further and further away from really contending for virtually anything. I mean, they seem well behind Philadelphia, well behind Washington in the division. Dallas hasn't won anything of note in, almost 30 years. So really weird spot for a franchise that for a long time there, it's like, okay, they are going to be a threat in the NFC.
Jerry will know by Thanksgiving he made a huge mistake. Forget the fact that Philadelphia and Washington will probably both blow them out in division twice. We've got a lot of one-and-dones happening now. David Culley, Steve Wilkes, Urban Meyer, Nathaniel Hackett, Antonio Pierce, Jared Mayo. People liked Antonio Pierce. I mean, the Raiders played a lot of people tough, including the Chiefs.
Remember, Antonio Pierce has got a lot of flack on this channel. Vibes coaches don't work in today's NFL. It's way too information-based. You have to truly know the game state and how to pivot and how to evolve and how to innovate. When you have coaches like Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur, you cannot survive as Antonio Pierce.
One and done happens all the time now. And as the NFC, there was about a 3-year window to make hay in the NFC where it was kind of soft. As John's pointed out, the coaching and the NFC are no longer soft. And I think Dallas is going to be humiliated on a lot of Sundays. That's my first surprise.
I'm going to go with the Packers win the North. I think a lot of people, Minnesota.
Yeah, I think the North, I'm kind of. The North's been a really interesting thing because a lot of people are just penciling in teams with a lot of question marks, like Detroit, like Minnesota. Minnesota, they won 14 games last year. Okay, well, now you got a quarterback who you've never seen throw a pass. Detroit, we know how good Detroit's been. What happens when you lose Ben Johnson? Oh, and Aaron Glenn. Like Ben Johnson, it's one of those things where if you are hyping up the Bears because of how great Ben Johnson is, you do have to be concerned if you're a Lions fan, because what happens with Jared Goff, who is a very system quarterback, all of a sudden now losing his system? Does Jared Goff take a step back? If he takes a step back, how far does the whole team take back? So I'm kind of down on Detroit. I'm kind of down on Minnesota. Green Bay, I've been down on Chicago. I'm not sure if Ben Johnson is going to fix things immediately there. And that does leave you with the most consistent team, with the most consistent roster, the most consistent coach in Green Bay. So Green Bay is a bit of a sleeper in that division.
Detroit, Minnesota, new quarterback, right? Detroit, 2 new coordinators.
Yeah.
We don't know if Ben Johnson can coach. The Packers went 1-5 last year in the division. They won 11 games. Their quarterback also got hurt week 1, which kind of threw them off. They have one of the best offensive coordinators in the league, who's their head coach in LaFleur. Their defense last year, getting Halfley from Boston College, was a top 5 unit in the league.
Now, here's my question about Green Bay. How good is Jordan Love? I don't know the answer to that. I'm lower on Jordan Love than most. A lot of people were sold that Jordan Love was the player that he was at the end of the year that culminated in them blowing out Dallas in the playoffs. That might be his peak. He may be somewhere in the middle of how he's played the rest of his career and that. Now, Jordan Love could certainly be that guy. I mean, we just don't know. But the book is out on Love a little bit. Like, we're still not sure what exactly the realized value is. But, man, if he is good, like if he is as good as advertised and as good as people thought he was when they gave him that contract, then Green Bay could be for real.
So, and they got a lot of young players. I think the Packers are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I wouldn't be stunned if they were the #1 overall seed.
Well, here's what's interesting about that pick. I had this kind of inner conversation. I was thinking about this the other day. My problem with Green Bay is every team in the league I like has at least 3 elite players. Who's their...
Yeah, Green Bay's problem, and has been their problem for virtually ever, is that they just do not have the horses. Like, they'll have the quarterback, but they do not have the position players. They do not have the playmakers. If they had playmakers, man, like, I don't know why they have not and will not get LaFleur toys to play with.
Best player.
It's a group unit.
It's a team
unit.
I mean,
but they're
I love
their
their
operation, Colin.
It is, but they don't get free agents, so they can't solve holes. So if they have a hole, they have to get it in the draft. Like, I like their wide receivers. They saw it as a weakness and attacked it in the first round. Like, I thought Jair Alexander 2 years ago was their best player. I don't know who he is right now.
I'll say this about the Packers. A lot like the Ravens, they draft and develop as well as any team in the league.
They do.
And their offensive line is always excellent. So to me, Jordan Love, obviously they need him to play at a higher level, but I just trust the infrastructure there.
Okay, you're not going to like this. Number 2 is Niners missed the playoffs. So
I go back and forth on this. So I've just started really doing my NFL research to really bolster my off-season betting portfolio as far as like futures. I am back and forth on the 49ers more than any team in the NFL. I have been real close to adding Brock Purdy MVP tickets. On the same token, I'm like, I don't think Brock Purdy's that good. I have been real close to adding San Francisco to win the NFC, San Francisco to win the Super Bowl, but then I'm thinking, I don't know, right? They are a team where they take a huge step back last year due to a crazy amount of injuries. Anytime that happens, you have to assume the team is going to bounce back in a big way. They get an easier schedule. They get healthy players back. But then part of me is like, well, did they have lightning in a bottle a few years ago with Deebo Samuel and Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy? No one knows who he is. He's playing at a crazy level. You know, like, the defense is insane. And now it's like, Deebo's not there. Ayuk was injured. McCaffrey was injured. Now everyone knows Purdy. Like, there's tons of film on him. They're losing players defensively. It's like, maybe this team just missed their window. You know, maybe they are in kind of an organic rebuild. So, I don't know. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of Cincinnati last year, where Cincinnati has a 9-8 year. I'm thinking, Burrow got hurt. You know, this is a team that could bounce back, could win the AFC, could compete for a Super Bowl. Boom, they just go 9-8 again. So, I don't know. I mean, if I today, I would say I'm bullish on San Francisco. I certainly am not at this point where it's like, they're going to miss the playoffs. They're just going to be bad again. I'd be surprised if that happened, but I'm not. I haven't officially signed the name on, this team's going to be a force, this team's going to be a playoff team and all that.
Well, first of all, they lost Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, and Deebo Samuel. They didn't really want to. Those are good players. The players they have now on offense get injured.
Yeah.
They have a sub-500 record, Kyle does, without Christian McCaffrey. How many games do you get? They're a sprained knee on Trent Williams at left tackle from having a bad offensive line. Again, McCaffrey coming off an injured season. They were 6-11 last year. I think Seattle's got an excellent roster. That Rams defense only getting better.
Now, this is where also you kind of factor it in where you look at the NFC West and say, okay, I'm really high on the Rams. It would not be a stretch to be really high on Seattle or Arizona, right? So all of a sudden it's like, all of a sudden now the division is really good. So maybe they're on kind of a razor's edge here. You know, if they were in a weak division, okay, they can get in winning 9 games or something. But if the Rams are really good and Seattle takes a step or Arizona takes a step, all of a sudden you win 9 games, you're third in that division. You know, so this is a tricky one.
And I think the Arizona guy can coach. I don't know how great they
Jonathan
are,
Gannon?
but they're going to upset, including
the Arizona guy.
The Rams. They're going to get some upsets next year. Brandon Ayuk is still recovering. Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings are ones.
Yeah.
I think the schedule helps them but they are a key offensive injury, Christian or Trent Williams or Kittle, from being a different team.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to like this, Colin. The 49ers are making the playoffs.
Okay.
You just talked about it. Coaching, right? They have one of the best coaches in the league. Oh, yeah, they also added Robert Saleh back in the mix. To
excellent DC.
Very similar to the Saints, right? Where you get disgraced head coach, now a DC, doing what he has had major success doing.
They were terrible last year in one-score games, especially in the division. They lost a close game to the Rams. They lost a close game to the Cardinals. They lost a close game to the Seattle, all in the final couple minutes of the fourth quarter. Christian McCaffrey is healthy. Kyle just said it a couple weeks ago. He's full go. Trent Williams, healthy. They have been a lot like an NBA team. They've been making these deep runs, and they just ran out of juice last year. It happens. Well, last year, they've been off since January 1st, so you get extra rest. I think Brock Purdy is going to have a big year. I think Kyle has a lot to prove, and I just think based on the schedule, I don't think it's inconceivable they get 10, 11 wins.
Yeah, a lot of the times this happened with, was it Minnesota a while ago? I think it was Minnesota. They won like 11 one-score games or something. They're like 11-0 one-score games. Anytime you see something like that, you always go the other direction. Where the next year it's like, okay, sell stock, right? Same with the 49ers, where all these injuries, losses in one-score games, buy stock. So I think when push comes to shove, I'll be equally bullish on the 49ers. And if you think the 49ers can make a deep run and you think they can be a real force this year and you're really bullish on them, I would absolutely look at Brock Purdy MVP tickets.
The Chicago Bears will make the playoffs. First of all, I think Minnesota is going to regress. I don't think Detroit will be as good because I don't know if the coordinators are. And Green Bay could be good, but they're not dominating. They don't have dominating personnel. First of all, I think Ben Johnson's got a Sean McVay feel. First thing he attacks is the offensive line. Sean Payton, first thing he attacks, offensive line. Andy Reid's done it multiple times. Fix the offensive line. The Bears' offensive line was awful. Some of that's Caleb. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was a big time Caleb Williams guy coming into the draft, his draft. I thought he was a generational guy, can't miss guy. And I'm seeing a lot of the same problems at USC or in Chicago that were at USC. And he would have to take a big time jump for me to be comfortable saying they're going to be a playoff team. They could not run the football last year. Offensive line was bad. Caleb Williams was bad. We don't know anything about Ben Johnson. A lot of people obviously think he's a wonder kid, think he's the next Sean McVay. We'll see. I don't know. It's just there's Colston Loveland. You know, that pick felt like it got too cute. We'll see. Like, we're just kind of giving Ben Johnson the benefit of the doubt that, oh, yeah, he's going to be able to make Colston Loveland whatever. Well, what if he's the next Kyle Pitts? What if he's the next tight end that's supposed to be all this and isn't all this? So the Bears have a ton. Like, this happened with Jacksonville a few years ago, where Jacksonville, all of a sudden, people were like, Jacksonville's going to win the AFC. It's like, well, how about they just be good first? They haven't even been good. We're just skipping over good. And then, of course, Jacksonville proved that they weren't good, and they weren't winning the AFC, and they weren't doing nothing. Chicago needs to prove that they're good. Chicago needs to prove that they're a winning football team before it's like, yeah, they're the playoff team. Yeah, they're going to win the division. Yeah, they're going to do this. Like, we need to see a lot from a lot of pieces of this team. The offensive line, Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, Colston Loveland. Like, a lot of this is unknown.
But young quarterbacks, even Jaden Daniels, it's Cliff Kingsbury. They need a mentor. They need a king, a guide. Eberflus, defensive staff, your passing game coordinator becomes your head coach. Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, Joe Tooney. That's a really good guard, center guard combination. I think it's a 9 to a 10 win team. Detroit's good, not dominating, because as Philadelphia showed us, you can get to a Super Bowl. If you lose good coordinators and replace them with B and C's, things get ugly by Thanksgiving. I think the Bears make the playoffs.
Don't hate it. Kyler Murray, he's one of the best athletes we've ever seen. Is he a good quarterback? I think this will be his last season on the Cardinals. This GM and head coach did not draft him. He's never won a playoff game. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. how many years can you go with a high-priced quarterback and not win? Usually,
Kyler is an interesting case because Kyler, he's almost like, I don't know. I mean, is Kyler a good quarterback? I would say he's exactly good. Like, Kyler is the flashiest Geno Smith. He's the flashiest Derek Carr ever, where he's dynamic, he's flashy, he is an insane athlete, one of the best athletes ever in the NFL. I mean, he's a absolute stud all around, especially at the quarterback position. But is he a good quarterback? And I feel like his peak, just like with Geno, just like with Derek Carr, their peak is probably like sniffing that top 10, but they exist more in that like 14 to 18 range, somewhere in there. He's above average to good with moments of greatness. Now, when you're above average to good as a baseline, you can also have moments of being not so great, right? He can have some boneheaded plays. But I think Kyler is who he is. I don't think the Cardinals will ever win anything of significance with him. Just like I don't think Geno is going to win the Super Bowl, or when Derek Carr played, Derek Carr was on the Super Bowl level quarterback. Like, there's certain quarterbacks that are just who they are. They're middle of the road. They're above average, but they're probably not going to get you over that next level.
Usually those guys get moved. He still has value. You could put a highlight tape together, just 10, 20 plays of Kyler Murray. He's as good as anyone in the league.
That's right.
Yeah. But when you watch him over the course of a game, over the course of a month, he leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I mean, like, Kyler's kind of a paradox, like, to watch him play, because he's got an insane arm. He's super small, right? Like, he's small, but he's durable. He's small, and he's not small like Bryce Young is small. He's small but thick. Pause. But he has an insane arm. He's got an absolute cannon of an arm, but he dink and dunks. Kyler Murray always leads the league, I guess, like reverse leads the league in the least amount of yards per attempt. He lives at the line of scrimmage. He lives dinking and dunking. But if you put together a 10 to 20 play highlight package, you're going to see Kyler Murray absolutely bombing the ball. But he doesn't really do that. He's a very unique player.
I don't think he can always see receivers like Tua's talked about because of size.
Well, he's 5'9". But he can move. He's got a huge arm. I still think he'd have a market. He's not a bad player. He's, if anything, he's a frustrating player because the talent's there. He's pretty accurate down the field.
Yeah, like he is. I mean, he is a frustrating player because you look at him as someone like Kirk Cousins, right? Like, Cousins is a little different now, but let's say Cousins a couple years ago and he was a free agent right before he went to Atlanta. With Kirk Cousins, it's very easy to be like, okay, he's a game manager. We know what he wants to do. We know how he wants to play. He fits the bill. But with Kyler Murray, it's like, why are you playing like Kirk Cousins? Why aren't you playing like someone who has the skills that you have?
Field, obviously his speed is pretty special, but can he slice and dice the good teams when he has to in the third and fourth quarter down the stretch of a season? I don't see it happening. So I would expect Kyler Murray in 2026 to be in a new home.
Yeah, he will have a market because he's still in his athletic prime. So I have Dallas blows out the coaching staff after 1 year. Niners close but missed the play.
You know who would be like perfect for Kyler as far as like a market would be Dallas. Like, because Kyler maybe is the greatest Texas high school quarterback of all time. Dak is, I know Dak's not a huge deal, but Dak is probably towards the end there. Kyler seems like the perfect fit for Arizona. Moves off of him. He's a big free agent. Dak is, at the end of his powers. All of a sudden, he's the splashy new quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
Playoffs, a little too old offensively. There'll be injuries. I think the NFC North is very even, but I don't think Detroit's coaching is as good. And John has the Packers win the division. Niners do make the playoffs, and Kyler Murray gets moved. I think over the course of 2 days, the one that people go, whoa, is Daniel Jones makes the playoffs. Last year, C.J. Stroud pulled back. They blame.
Man, I was all over. Go find on this channel. I've been screaming that I was saying Daniel Jones will start over Anthony Richardson, but I think Shane Steichen is going to get a lot out of Daniel Jones. And we were just talking about this in my betting group. talking about, okay, who do we like to win that division? And we were going between Jacksonville and Indianapolis. And we were talking about Daniel Jones, comeback player of the year, Shane Steichen, coach of the year, whatever. I would not be surprised at all if Steichen gets Daniel Jones to play at a high level and they win that division.
The offensive coordinator, they blamed injuries to receivers. That one, if that's the crazy one, I think that's got legs.
Yeah, to me, we've seen it in recent, with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, high picks, resurrecting their career. And to me, the Alex Smith comp, he's going to hand the ball off. They're going to play defense. They're not looking for 40 touchdowns. They just need like 22.
Well, also, Steichen obviously went to the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia as the OC. Daniel Jones can do a lot of what Steichen asked Jalen Hurts to do. So all of a sudden, it's kind of one of those things where the player fits the scheme fits the player. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't hate that at all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get on down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.